Hi, good afternoon. We're talking today about awarding the Connecticut Seal of Biliteracy, specifically dealing with low-incidence languages. I'm Jocelyn Tamburello-Noble, World Language Supervisor of West Hartford Public Schools.
And I'm Jessica Haxey, the Supervisor of World Languages for New Haven Public Schools. It's very important that all eligible students in your district have access to the Connecticut Seal of Biliteracy, and that testing for the Connecticut Seal of Biliteracy be as equitable and equivalent as possible across students and languages. Any reduction in testing measurements or requirements reduces the overall integrity of the Seal of Biliteracy in Connecticut and anywhere students take that seal across the country.
There are two academic testing requirements in Connecticut. The two academic requirements below must be met. Students must complete all English language arts requirements for graduation. Students must demonstrate proficiency in a language other than English at a level comparable to intermediate mid on the ACTFL proficiency guidelines, as demonstrated through one of the methods listed on the next page in grade 10 or later.
There are also the English requirements that you must complete are you must have been enrolled in English 1, 2, 3, and 4 as part of your regular English high school requirements, or these could be sheltered content English courses, which are commonly given to English learners. However, we do have a caveat. Based on experience in our districts, we think that you might want to consider the loss links level of an English learner before encouraging them to test for the Seal of Biliteracy. We have found that students who are below level 3, so if they're a 1 or a 2 on loss links, that they tend to not do well on the Seal of Biliteracy tests that are available due to the amount of reading that has to be done, or English reading in particular, involved in comprehension questions on the tests.
There are several methods for assessment of evidence. The ACTFL Assessment of Performance Towards Proficiency in Languages, or the APPLE, the minimum score is I3 in all 4 language domains. Another option is the Oral Proficiency Interview, or Oral Proficiency Interview Computerized, the OPIC, or Writing Proficiency Tests. International Baccalaureate or IB World Language Exam, Advanced Placement AP World Language Exam, or Standards-Based Measurement of Proficiency, Avant Stamp, or in Latin, the ACTFL Latin Interpretive Reading Assessment, the ALIRA. All of the minimum scores are listed on the right column. In addition to that, we also have the Diplomas of Spanish as a Foreign Language, the DELE, Diplomas of French as a Foreign Language, the DELF, ASL Proficiency Interview through Gallaudet University, or Sign Language Proficiency. Again, all of the requirements are listed in the right column.
For a student whose non-English language is low incidence or not commonly found in your area, and proficiency cannot be established by any of the assessments recommended on the previous pages, the following steps must be taken. The district must determine a plan for measuring a student's level of proficiency. This plan, to the extent practicable, includes assessment of interpersonal face-to-face communication, as well as interpretive listening, presentational speaking, and reading and writing where a written code exists. These 2 points come directly from the Connecticut State Seal of Biliteracy Guidelines document, and this is what we'll be talking about for the remainder of this webinar.
Finding tests for low-incidence languages. If you use APPLE, check OPI or WPT. If you use Avant, check WorldSpeak. If your testing company doesn't have the language, check ALTA. If you can't use ALTA, create a personalized low-incidence language plan.
As part of our work with COLT, we put together this chart of the various languages offered by the different testing companies that we've been mentioning. The decision of what company and what tests to use is really a district level personal decision that you need to base on a number of factors. These charts are only provided to you in order to help you inform those decisions. On the first page are listed tests that are available through Avant Assessment, one of the testing companies. The link is on the top of the page. You may also download this chart from the CT COLT website. The Avant offers the stamp in a number of common languages, shown here, and they offer WorldSpeak in some less common languages, shown here. Please take a look at the notes in the middle to inform yourself about some of the important characteristics of those tests that you'll have to take into account as you make your decision as to what testing company to use. Over here are the costs for those tests, which of course will also be a consideration, as well as the passing scores. On the next page of this chart, we've listed the tests available through Language Testing International. The link is here, and this is the company that is affiliated with ACTFL, but a separate part, but actually separate from the ACTFL organization. The Apple test is their test of the most common languages, but they also offer the OPI, WPT, and WPT for some less common languages in a bundle, especially for K through 12 Seal of Biliteracy testing. They also have the OPIC, and they have, which is computer-based, and they have the ALIRA in Latin, as Jocelyn mentioned a few minutes ago. Prices are here, and factors to consider are here. Finally, there's Alta, which is a company that offers over 100 different languages for testing in writing and in speaking, but they are the most expensive. So it is something you would have to consider just for the most low incidence languages and if you have the budget to support that. If you are not able to locate a test, there are options available, which we will talk about in a few moments. Some things to consider as you look over the testing charts and think about which test companies you're going to use, which test company you'll use for your school district are price. Then look at the languages tested by each company versus the languages that are prominent in your district. You'll also want to note that some of them require the use of language keyboards, and your students may or may not have experience with those language keyboards. And there are a few that allow handwritten tests or require handwritten tests. So that might be a factor for you, especially if you have a lot of new arrival students who might not have computer experience. Some of them require a telephone hookup and the ability to have a quiet space for students to do telephone interviews. And you'll want to look at the overall characteristics of the test. And the best way to do that is to go to each testing company link and take their demo tests. Both companies, Avant and Language Testing International, have online demo tests that you can take so you can really see how the tests are different.
Paying for the Seal of Biliteracy testing. Consider Title IV funds. If you're in a large urban district, or you have many Title I schools, or you're in an economically diverse district, consider fundraisers, contacting community organizations, reaching out to ACTFL raters in your area, or consider hosting a MOPI training in your own school. When to create a personalized plan. When a test is not available, or when you have exhausted all possible testing options. In consideration of creating a personalized plan, ensure it is comparable in rigor to standardized assessments. Think in terms of a level check. You're looking at intermediate, mid, or higher. Contact local universities, community agencies, and preferably not a family member to assist in finding materials for interviewing. And use a phone-in translation service with a trained English-speaking ACTFL rater as a potential way to do a level check.
And I'm just going to add a follow-up on that notion of level check. Basically, what we're saying is you don't need to make a test that will determine exactly what level a student is, whether they're novice high or advanced low. If you're dealing with a very low incidence language, really all we need to determine is, are they intermediate mid or higher, or are they not? that's how we think about level checks in proficiency testing. So if you're able to sit with an English-speaking trained actual rater and have your phone-in translation service or even a live translator there, that English-speaking actual rater can ask the student questions in English, have the translator translate it, the student can respond, the translator translates back, and you can transcribe what the student's saying so that, or record it so that after you can determine with that rater whether that student is intermediate, mid, or better. And that's all you need to know. You don't need to put them at a particular level or sub-level.
Collaborating to recruit English learners for the Seal of Biliteracy testing. As part of our mission, we want to ensure that students' home language is also honored. So in collaborating, you want to look at EL, T-Cell, or bilingual teachers as a great resource for helping you identify students. Contact school counselors. Let them know about the Seal of Biliteracy and have them provide you names of students that they think would be eligible. Contact community organizations. And contact parents. Also, other language programs. For example, a Saturday Greek school or a Sunday Japanese school might be able to tell you which students are studying that language outside of school hours.
There are lots of resources on the ctcolt.org Seal of Biliteracy page, so please check there, and that is also where we will post the Seal of Biliteracy testing chart that we showed during this presentation. Also, please feel free to contact us at our emails as listed below.
I'm Jocelyn Tamburello-Noble, and thank you for listening to our podcast.
And I'm Jessica Haxey, and hope to see you sometime soon at a COLT event.